Hello and welcome to Bourbon Rocks. Tonight we're going to review Hancock's President's Reserve. Now this is another Buffalo Trace Mash Bill number 2 bourbon. The same mash bill as Blanton's and Elmer T. Lee and Rock Hill Farms. But this is a very unique, interesting, obscure bourbon. In fact, even on Buffalo Trace's website they don't say much about it. It's also an interesting and very unique proof point. It's 88.9%. 88.9 proof, my bad. And so, which is unlike any other Buffalo Trace product. It also is a non-age stated bourbon, so we don't know how old it is, much like most of the mash bill number 2s, but at least there's some information floating around the internet with Blanton's being around 6 years and stuff, and the Rock Hill Farms being a little bit older, closer to the 8 to 10. But really, there's not much information at all on this bourbon, and so we don't really know exactly how old it is. Being that it's non-age stated, it has to be at least 4 years old. Otherwise, they would have to say that on the bottle by the TTB guidelines. But it's so it's a non-age stated bourbon. I mean, I'm going to guess it's probably somewhere around 5 to 6 years. I don't think it's going to be much longer or older than Blanton's, and it's only bottled at 88.9 proof, which again is a very interesting proof, unlike any other of the Buffalo Trace products. But it is a mash bill number 2, which means it's the medium rye mash bill. So let's see how Hancock's President's Reserve tastes. All right, we'll start out by looking at the color, and it's like a golden orange. It's lighter than some of the other bourbons, lighter than the Eagle Rare 12 that we just reviewed earlier. The body is also a bit lighter too, maybe a medium body. It does stick to the glass a little bit there at the top, but it certainly doesn't have as much of the fullness as the Eagle Rare did. But again, we're also dealing with a completely different animal here. This is mash bill number 2, whereas Eagle Rare is mash bill number 1. All right, so let's see what we got on the nose. Well, the first thing you notice is it's just not much. This is very faint overall. There's a little bit of butterscotch. There's some vanilla. The spice comes in the way maybe of some allspice, but it really is quite faint. Try to swirl it up a little bit more to see if I can get some more stuff to come out of it, but it really doesn't have much going for it. I mean, there's a little bit of butterscotch to caramel. It's probably the predominant aroma on the nose. All right, let's see if we can get more on the taste. Well, unfortunately, there's not a lot of the taste. It's very, very faint on the palate as well. I mean, there's some flavors here. Again, it's caramel, like caramel sauce maybe, and vanilla cream. Maybe those little caramel things. I've used this analogy on several reviews, but there's little caramel chews that have the little cream center and so forth. Or maybe if you had like some vanilla ice cream with hot caramel on it, you might sort of kind of pair that fairly well, because it's still caramel and vanilla, but it's really, there's virtually no fruit. The spice has come in a little bit, and again, allspice, maybe some pepper. Let's give it another go, but this one's not stacking up to most Buffalo Trace products. Maybe that's why they don't say much about it on the internet or on their webpage. I mean, it's not a bad bourbon. I'm not going to give the impression that this is bad. I mean, it's very easy drinking. There's not anything in here that's offensive, but the unfortunate thing is there's not that many things in here that are really that exciting either. I mean, you've got your standard caramel, vanilla, not much oak, no fruit, a little bit of peppery, maybe some allspice, but it's really not much to it, and it's short finish. Although the heat kind of remains, surprisingly for the 88.9 proof. The heat does last a little bit longer than expected, but I mean, again, it's not bad. I don't want to give the impression it's a bad bourbon, but would you ever go buy it? I mean, if this was just on the shelf and readily available, yeah, it's fine. I still wouldn't mix it. I mean, it is a sipping bourbon. It's not something I would put into a Coke or a ginger ale. But it's not exciting, and considering the fact that it's rare, it's going to cost you, if you can find it, if you pay internet prices, it's absolutely not worth it. This is no way, shape, or form anywhere close to what I would call worthy of a Buffalo Trace product. But that being said, it's also not a bad, if this was on the shelf and you pour it, I mean, I'm going to finish this. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not a bad whiskey at all, but it's just not a great whiskey either. It's just pretty much flat, pretty faint on the nose, pretty faint on the palate, and pretty much your standard caramel, vanilla, and that's pretty much all you're going to get out of it. Maybe just a teeny little bit of pepper. But anyway, this is Hancock's President's Reserve. It's a very rare unicorn from Buffalo Trace. And even though it's a decent bourbon, it's nothing to write home about, and it's nothing exciting, and it certainly isn't what you would pay for on the internet. So, I'll drink it, but I wouldn't buy it again. So, thank you very much for joining us tonight on Bourbon Rocks, and we'll be back soon. By the way, check out our new logo. We finally got approval from the U.S. Trademark and Patent Office. And so that is Bourbon Rocks. We've got it here on our little barrel lid and up on my little copper thing that my wife was so kind to make for me. Check out our videos on YouTube, and we'll see you next time on Bourbon Rocks.